Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Net Producer Magazine, reporting to you here with Stacy Henderson from Terpstra Henderson, an attorney. And she gave a great presentation today at the annual convention of the Almond Alliance of California, talking about how to avoid issues that's going to, take you into court, right?
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, that's the world we live in today. But she gave some great tips for farmers on how to avoid issues with meal and rest period violations. So I wanted you to, explain some of those things you talked about today.
Great. So we want to avoid meal and rest period violations because if we don't, you will expose yourself to tremendous liability, not only for unpaid wages, but also for a lot of penalties. So in order to avoid those violations, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you understand the law. Make sure you know what the timing requirements are. So for meal periods, they are supposed to start before the end of the 5th hour worked, before the start of the 6th hour. And then there's a second meal period that's required if an employee is going to work more than 10 hours. And that meal period has to start before the end of the 10th hour worked, before the start of the 11th hour. So we want to make sure that those meal periods are timely. In addition to ensuring that you understand the law, you need to make sure that you enforce your policy and enforce the law. So you want to monitor your employees. You want to make sure that they are clocking in and out for their meal periods and that they are taking full 30-minute meal periods. If they miss a meal period, if they start late, or if they're not clocking out properly, then you need to discipline your employees. You want to talk to them about your policy and then eventually discipline them. If you have a violation, you also need to pay them a meal period premium. Meal period premium is 1 hour's worth of wages for the meal period that is missed. If you pay that meal period premium, then you are correcting the issue. But the meal period premium should really only be used for corrections of violations here and there. That's not the way to have a policy where employees are allowed to miss their meals. So ensure you understand the law, ensure that your employees actually take their meal periods, and if they miss a meal period, then you want to correct the issue by paying the meal period premium immediately. Rest periods are very similar. You want to make sure that you understand the timing requirements. They're supposed to occur in the middle of a work period. Employees are supposed to have a rest period, 1 rest period for every 4 hours worked, or major fraction of 4 hours, which is really anything over 2 hours. You want to make sure that those rest periods are taken in a timely manner and that they are taken for a full 10 minutes. Your employees are not supposed to be on call during their meal or rest periods. If they are on call, then you have a violation. You'll have to pay that penalty as well. So those are just a couple of tips. There's lots of details with respect to meal and rest periods, so make sure you're getting good legal advice and that you are complying with the law.
Great. Well, thank you, Stacy. Appreciate that. Read more about the proceedings of today's event in the coming issue of Pacific Net Producer Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.